Welcome back, Patriots, to the Bald Brad Show. Heck, it is officially Tuesday, July 23rd. We are just a little more than 100 days out from the presidential election, and we're only going to be able to say this for so long. Joe Biden is by far the worst president in American history. The question is, are we going to get Donald Trump in office this November? Or are we going to get Kamala Harris in the Oval Office this coming November? I mean, she won't be there in November, but you get what I'm saying. January. We'll have to see what is going on. Let's get the chat rolling here with fellow Patriots of the Bald Brad Show. Let's make sure that I can see the chat nice and clean so that I can call out some great American Patriots here. We got Mizzy. We got Secret Agent 355 always doing the work here in the chat for the Patriots and me. Miriam, Patrick's here. Sunset is here. Sunset, I almost tossed you an email yesterday. Hopefully everything's okay. I saw what you're writing in the chat. Didn't know if you were pissed off with me, but know that we love you here. Lily B, good to see you, Lily. Make sure that I have like my other chat set up. Holy lordy, folks, we are a mess this morning. We're like Joe Biden wandering around the White House. And by the way, we got big news about Joe Biden's health, you guys, so buckle up. That's going to happen in the middle of today's episode. I am talking about a bombshell. I was up last night consistently swiping through Twitter, you guys. So this is one you're going to want to stick around for. You guys know, longtime viewers of the Bald Brad Show, do I rarely ever say you want to stick around for this? You'll want to stick around for this. I'm going to go as far to say it's probably conspiracy theory, but damn, it is a roller coaster. Pat, good to see you, brother. Sharon, Paul, Garrett, Dana, Michelle, Danielle Danielle Slater, rather. Sorry, I said Danielle Star. You're a star in our mind, Danielle. Michelle. We have Neil here. Neil always has our 6. Neil, look at that shield next to your name, brother, because you've been a member so long. Look at that shield. You know, there's no bigger, greater shields out there. Estevana, good morning. Oh, I like that name. Who else we got in here? Amy, good to see you, Amy. Oh, all the way from Florida. Man, how's life in free America? We don't get that here in commie California. Dana's here. I think I said Dana. I care. Good to see you. I care about you too. And good to see you, Snarf. We got a lot of people rolling in here, folks. Let's jump into the news. A little bit sporadic, okay? I think I have everything pretty much in order, but if you weren't, well, you're not aware of this. We had to reboot the system because when I tried to go live initially, the camera didn't work, which is really amazing. I know I'm going on a random tangent here. I just love talking to you guys. You don't touch anything, you know what I mean? Like, I leave everything exactly the way it is, and sometimes things don't work. It's remarkable. You don't change a damn thing on your system, and it doesn't work. So let's get into a little bit of what we saw yesterday, and then we'll transition into a little bit more of like what's headline news right now, and then get into what the hell's going on with Joe Biden's health, man, because, dude, last night was a freaking trip for me. Now, we all sat down yesterday and watched the hearing of the Secret Service director in front of Congress. Good morning, Johnny. Good to see you, brother. Write the question in there. I see it. Usually if you want questions answered, $5 ones. I sound like one of those, what do they go, strippers at a strip club? If you want something from me, you got to pay. So anyways, we have this clip here of Miss Mace completely shredding the Secret Service director. And I want to play it for you because it's really one of the highlights of yesterday's 4.5-hour congressional hearing. So here she is. Make sure the kids aren't around because she does do some cussing. Let's roll it.
Director Cheadle, the American people are watching, and they're wondering if there are any questions you can answer honestly today. So, Director Cheadle, I have a series of questions, very specific questions. I want very specific answers. Most of my questions are going to demand a yes or no answer. Do you understand?
I do.
Okay, my first question. Both sides of the aisle today have asked for your resignation. Would you like to use my 5 minutes to draft your resignation letter, yes or no?
No, thank you.
Was this a colossal failure?
It was a failure.
Yes or no? Was it a colossal failure is the question. Yes or no?
I have admitted this is a terrible
This is a
tragedy.
yes or no series of questions. Was this a colossal failure? Yes or no?
Yes.
Was this tragedy preventable? Yes or no?
Yes.
Has the Secret Service been transparent with this committee?
Yes.
Would you say the fact that we had to issue a subpoena to get you to show up today as being transparent? Yes or no?
I have always been eager
Yes
to
or no?
come
You didn't
and
want to
talk
answer
to
the question.
committee.
We had to issue a subpoena to get you to show up today. That is not transparent, by the way. You stated earlier Secret Service is not political. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Would you say leaking your opening statement to Punchbowl News, Politico's Playbook, and Washington Post several hours before you sent it to this committee as being political? Yes or no?
I have no idea how my statement got out.
Well, that's bullshit. So, Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask unanimous consent to enter into the record articles by Punchbowl News, Political Playbook, Washington Post, all done at 5:24 a.m., 6:12 a.m., 6:34 a.m., a solid 3 to 4 hours before this committee got your statement.
Without objection, so ordered.
Okay. Is the Secret Service fully cooperating with our committee?
Yes.
Okay, you say you're fully cooperating with this committee. On July 15th, this committee sent you a list of demands of information that we wanted. Has the Secret Service provided this committee a...
Oh, it's spinning. My internet's bad. Well, I wanted to cut it there anyways. I don't want to make sure we take up too much of your time on these clips because we all pretty much spent it together yesterday watching this insane congressional hearing. Quite honestly, I watch a lot of these. You guys just don't see it because normally I do this behind the scenes of basically what we did for 4.5 hours yesterday together. And then you kind of find the clips you like, and that's what you show to your audience. I really liked Mace here. She brought up a great point. Look, they're not being transparent. They haven't been transparent. She got the letter ahead of time, brought nothing with her, brought no information. And really what she did was she just sat there and goes, oh, well, you got to talk to the FBI this, the FBI that. And she kind of just put him through the mill. You know what I mean? And Johnny, I'll get to the answer of your question in just one moment, but I promise. So she was forcing yesterday after the hearing, she sat there and on the GOP-led House to vote on a resolution to impeach Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle. Now, I have a feeling this actually might go through because they got both Democrats and Republicans to sit there and want to remove this woman. So obviously he's facing backlash over the security failure of Donald Trump's attempted assassination. Hours after Cheadle testified before the House Oversight Committee on Monday about how the Secret Service failed its mission, Mace introduced the resolution on Monday with a privileged motion forcing leadership to take action on it within basically 48 hours. So today or tomorrow by the latest. The House has never voted on an impeachment of an inferior civil officer, but historic times call for historic measures. Look, I don't think anybody's surprised at this point as far as what could happen next. We are all on a roller coaster right now regarding what the hell's going on. I mean, again, we will break down what the hell's going on because it's quite astonishing. And like I said, we'll get to it in a moment. I have so much stuff for you guys. It's like head spinning. I'm trying to keep track of it all myself. So that was one clip yesterday of many great congressmen and women. The Democrat Party pretty much spent most of their time, I'd say half of them spent their time on gun control, wanting to remove an AR-15 semi-automatic firearm from not just the registry, but basically trying to remove them from circulation. That's what they've been trying to do for a while now, as if that's going to stop anything. Can we let this sink in? There's more guns in circulation out there than there are actual people. And these idiots, they are idiots in terms of guns. The Democrats, who most of them probably haven't even shot a firearm before, sits there. They really think, you guys, that once you remove the AR-15, that somehow all this is going to stop. Like just poof, it's gone. So what's going to happen? Let me, because we do this all the time with them, right? We always tell them what's going to happen. and they say it's not going to happen and that we're just conspiracy theorists. But when it then does happen, their mind is blown away. They can't even believe this, how stupid some of these people are. They're going to remove the AR-15, right? Let's just say. So what these crazy people are going to do, because they're crazy and evil, is they're just going to choose another firearm to go commit this psycho, evil, terrible act that they're going to do, because it's the person that's shooting the firearm. Folks, I know all of us here. I know I'm preaching to the choir. They don't understand this. I have a gun very close to my vicinity right now. Nothing's happening. Why? Because there's nobody behind the firearm. They are incapable. Please understand that they are incapable of understanding this. It is a remarkable thing to witness that millions of people can understand this, but the Democrats, no. Really crazy. Yeah, I know. So they want to remove your firearms. And how do I know this? It's not like I'm not being an alarmist here. Joe Biden himself has literally come out and said that he wants to remove semi-automatic firearms. The reason why I phrase it that way is a lot of times they say assault rifles, and they never actually tell us what they mean by assault rifles. Joe Biden did that for us. We covered it here on the show. He was as clear as you could possibly be. All semi-automatic firearms. That's every firearm, by the way. That's every gun. That's a handgun. That's a rifle. It's bolt action. Doesn't matter what you call it. It's everything. So they want to remove all firearms, folks, and good luck with that one. That ain't happening. No way in damn hell. That's where you have the militia, baby. The American patriots rising up saying, you ain't taking our guns. By the way, it's not feasible. It's not feasible. They just shout stuff to the skies. There's almost twice as many guns in America in circulation than there are people. Folks, one, that ain't going to happen. And it's kind of like how we said yesterday, how they just shout stuff to the skies, and there's no actual thought process of how you're going to do it. And if it's actually feasible, I'll give you a case in point, because it's actually coming up with the new Democrat nominee, Kamala Harris, is the Green New Deal. Kamala Harris wants to implement the Green New Deal. If you look into that legislative bad boy, they talk about removing anything that's like a combustion engine, like cars, trains, planes, automobiles, like you name it. Kamala, AOC, you psychos over there on the Democrat side of the aisle, not feasible. They go as far to talk about how we need to restructure every building to be environmentally friendly and have zero emissions and a zero carbon footprint. They just shout stuff. They just diarrhea mouth stuff, and there's like nothing in here as far as, okay, what's the process of doing it, and is it actually the smart process? Like, how is it, one, going to sit there and be detrimental to people's liberties and freedoms? That's always the question we should ask when we implement legislation. How does it affect somebody's liberties and freedoms? And two, how is this going to damage the United States of America and our economy? And what does it do in terms of advancing the level of expansion for our foreign adversaries like China and Russia to outcompete us? There is no thought process. It is a remarkable thing. So I know we went on a little bit of a tangent there, but Pat and everybody else says that's okay. So I'm just doing what the listeners allow me to do. So here we go. We have a whistleblower regarding this whole assassination attempt coming out, and claims that the rooftop where the gunman shot at former President Donald Trump during a campaign rally in Pennsylvania was abandoned by law enforcement due to heat. I have a video here, you guys, that is head spinning. We'll get to in one moment. It's actually going to show you the rooftop and why I believe that this excuse doesn't carry any weight in terms of them still not able to cover the rooftop. We'll get to it. Lily B, thank you so much for the coffee fund. Thank you. Oh, you guys know I love the coffee. We're drinking it right now. All American brew. You guys are buying up these cups, man. It's great. I love knowing that you guys are drinking out of the mugs. Greatly appreciated, Lily B. Thank you so much. Lily also bought the book, Trojan Horse. Thank you for always supporting the Bald Brad Show. So in a letter to Homeland Security Director Alejandro Mayorkas. How that guy isn't gone, I don't know. Like we've mentioned, none of these people who are dog shit at their jobs have gotten fired. Like, the dude's led one of the greatest invasions to ever happen in the United States, like in American history. The dude is still going out there parading around, has his job. The guy that's sitting there, it's basically above the Secret Service, still has his job. The director of the Secret Service still has his job. The FBI director, even though he lied to Congress, still has his job. It's amazing. There is no, I've asked you guys this, now we're going on like a week now, and I'm not hounding you. I'm asking for the support here. Does anybody know a single person that's been fired since Joe Biden's been in office? Amidst of all the crazy shit that's gone on, does anybody know if anybody's been fired? Because I don't. And Johnny, I promise you I'll get to your question. I have not forgot it. I'm just waiting to line up here when we get to the Kamala Harris stuff. I promise. I got you, brother. I got you. Hopefully Johnny's still here. Johnny, write in the chat if you're still here. We need to know if you're still here. Might not be worth answering it anymore. So we have here, it goes on to say, Senator Josh Hawley said a whistleblower told his office that enforcement was supposed to have a person stationed on the building where 20-year-old Thomas Crooks shot at Trump. Hawley said the whistleblower had direct knowledge of Secret Service plans to secure the event. During the shooting, Trump and two supporters were injured while the 50-year-old Corey was ultimately passed away from a gunshot wound, which is terrible. And I screwed up on that. I actually showed an image of him basically dead, which was my fault, and I apologize for that. So contrary to Director Cheadle's public statements about safety on the sloped roof of American Glass Research Building 6, one whistleblower with direct knowledge of Secret Service planning of the events alleges that there was supposed to be law enforcement present on the roof that day. In fact, the whistleblower alleges that at least one individual was specifically assigned to the roof, but yet the Secret Service director won't tell us who exactly that is, and they were supposed to be there for the duration of the rally. But this person abandoned his or her post due to the hot weather. The whistleblower further alleges that concerns over the heat prompted law enforcement to forgo patrolling Building 6 altogether and instead station security personnel inside the building. Let me tell you why I think this still doesn't do service and justification, because based on them blaming the heat, you guys, you can see it in you could be inside a building. You could be inside a building and still watch where this guy was at. So I'm going to try to show you two different angles. Let me actually bring up a different angle here for you guys in real time. Let me see if I have it for you. I should have had this prepared. I apologize. I have one angle prepared, but I want you to see like the vantage point of it. I'm not even going to have it here. Donald Trump. Let's see, rooftop. Let's see if I can pull it up for you guys. I apologize. This is super. Here we go. This is what I wanted. At least I was able to get it quick. Okay. So who we have here is a representative, Eli Crane, and he is at the site, and he is physically right now standing on the rooftop, basically where the shooter was at that made the assassination attempt. I want to show you this because he's going to highlight a window. I'm going to show you after this clip the room that's inside that window and what the visibility is inside the building where you don't have to be in the heat is from that angle. So here we go.
The building where the supposed sniper took his shot. It's not that steep at all. We just had a 70-year-old man back here climb up on the roof easily. See that water tower behind me? Had Secret Service or anybody had sniper teams up there, this guy wouldn't have made it 5 feet up this roof. He would have been taken out. Behind me, you see the windows that Secret Service was supposedly in the second.
Okay, so you see those windows all along there,
floor of this
right?
building behind.
There's even one directly behind his head. We'll get to that in one moment.
Makes you wonder why they weren't able to quickly dispatch the individual. And then behind me, back over here where those red roofs are, that's where the stage was set up. That's where the president was giving his speech from. A lot of questions here in Butler, but we look forward to doing oversight and getting to the bottom of it and making sure it never happens again.
Okay, so that was that angle, right? And I apologize for kind of having this all loosey-goosey. Now, here's from inside the windows of what you guys just saw. What I want to highlight here is You could have been in probably air conditioned or a nice covering and still protected the area. There's no excuse here. Check this out. Look at that angle. You can see the whole roof. From, look at this room. Hold on a second. Does he show? Oh, okay. This clip doesn't show the entire room. You can see where the dude was laying. You could spit on the guy. Hello. I don't know, folks. It's really hard for me to not think of an inside job. Look, and let me explain why I think that. I very rarely kind of base my judgment and my decision making on emotion. Very rarely. I tend to try to think of a probability. And the probability of something like this happening is so small, it's head spinning. Like, I don't even know if I can quantify it. So what other reasons could this is just like a mishap? Like, oh, it just happened. Like, there was no security. This was out of the perimeter is what they said. Why would you have a great vantage point out of the perimeter of somebody who's probably either going to be president or obviously the nominee for the Republican Party out there in the open from a great vantage point of a sniper that has threats from him, not just from a domestic level, but also from a freaking foreign adversary like Iran who's already made threats on the guy? I don't know. I find it hard to believe that not an inside job. I find it hard to believe they didn't want to get rid of this guy. And it plays into everything else that's going on. Because all of a sudden, you have all these people dying. All of a sudden, nobody's seen Joe Biden for 5 days. All of a sudden, Kamala Harris is now the nominee of the Democrat Party, all within 33 hours. We'll get to it, man. I just, dude, the best phrase I have is from Back to the Future, where Doc Brown was sitting there, and he told Marty McFly, you're about to see some serious shit. Well, we are right now. Here's the other individual that did a fabulous job questioning the Secret Service director. And this is the last clip we're going to show of the hearing, but it sums up basically what we saw yesterday perfectly. Here we go.
You keep referring to the FBI. When asked how many shell casings were on the roof, you referred to the FBI. When asked if there were explosives in the car, you referred to the FBI. When asked if Crooks was acting alone, you referred to the FBI. See a common theme here? I can go on and on. My question is, who at the FBI should I speak with? Wait for it. Wait for it.
The FBI is responsible for the criminal
Is there a name?
This lady reminds me of myself.
I'm not certain.
I'm not certain.
Who
All
at
right,
the
here we go.
FBI
I'm
is
not
running the
certain. I
investigation.
don't know. Let me ask a different question. Have you been in communication with the FBI?
Yes, I have.
With whom?
I speak with the director and the deputy director.
Okay. And what have they shared with you about this investigation? So I'll give you an opportunity to answer again. Did they share with you how many shell casings were on the roof?
Yes.
They have shared with me the
Did
evidence
they
they've collected.
share with you how many shell casing were on the roof?
Yes.
Okay, how many were there?
I would refer to the FBI for their
How
investigation
many were there?
and their information that they need to share in their investigation.
So they've shared the information with you. You just don't want to share the information with
Correct.
us. Correct?
We have concurrent investigations that are going on.
So they have shared this information with you. You know the answer to the question. You just refuse
Go on,
to
Mike.
answer the question from the member of Congress who has subpoenaed you to be here. Is there a different answer to that question?
I was always willing to come here and testify before this oversight hearing.
Beautiful. Then let's
Wasn't a-
do
that
that.
was
Let's
necessary.
for once have your actions match your words. So you've been
Damn.
in communication with the FBI. You know the answers, and you refuse to tell us the answers. So I will ask you again. You know how many shell casings were on that roof. What is the answer to that question?
I think it's pertinent.
What
to talk,
is the answer to that question?
I think it's pertinent to talk to you about the information that the Secret Service has and that the Secret Service knows related.
I'm
to the
asking
events
you
on
an
that day.
answer to the question. If you're supposed to be in charge,
I like this
if
lady.
the buck stops with you, how come you can't share the answers? What are you covering up?
I'm
What are you hiding, my friend?
not covering anything else.
Then what?
I don't know what that noise is. That noise isn't me, by the way. I don't know what that is. Like, what am I hearing a ping noise for? Like, looking through, I was like, I don't see anything. So that was basically how things went yesterday. And McClain did a fabulous job. And quite frankly, if I was to sit there and grill somebody, that's exactly how I would do it and pretty much how I would sound. So let's get to the cusp of it. And Johnny, I have not forgotten your question. I promise. This is where we're getting to it. That was the Secret Service hearing yesterday. There is another hearing going on presently right now. I may or may not drop in there right after this. We'll have to see. If that's what you guys want, we will do it. We went 5.5 hours yesterday of streaming. We'll do another 5.5 if we have to. So here's the crazy thing, you guys. Kamala Harris is now the nominee of the Democrat Party 33 hours after Joe Biden dropped out. With, get this, and I'm not exaggerating one bit. I'm not being extreme or anything. Without a single vote from a Democrat. Let me rephrase this. Kamala Harris is now the nominee and has secured enough delegates in 33 hours after Joe Biden has dropped out without ever getting a single, and I mean that in all literal sense, a single vote from a Democrat. That is not how democracy works. That, I understand we're a republic, you guys, but through our republic, we have a democracy where we elect people to represent us. I fully understand that we are a republic, but we have democratic processes. This was not one of them. The Democrats just chose, like, this is what we're going to do. Vice President Kamala Harris has secured, so insane to me, I can't believe we're witnessing this, enough delegates to officially become the Democrat Party's presidential nominee when the delegates cast their vote next month on, I think it's August 19th through the 22nd. It's really going to be on the 19th. Harris, who forced to quit her 2020 presidential campaign before voting even started, will likely become the party's nominee without ever having a single vote. So please understand, when I say you can scour this earth, you will not find a single person that actually voted for Kamala Harris. Let that sink in. I don't even know if that's ever happened, you guys. The Associated Press reported that Harris has secured the backing of more than 1,900 delegates, the number that she should or would need to reach the win for the nomination. Harris only launched her campaign on Sunday, guys. This took, I'm being generous, on 33 hours. You could make the claim that she secured all this stuff before she even started running for the campaign. There was a lot going on behind the scenes, you guys. The Democrat Party manipulated a lot of stuff. I will go as far to say they've known this for 3 weeks. I will go as far to say they've been planning all of this, from the donations to contacting people behind the scenes to making this work. I think this has been going on quite some time. And the reason why I say this, sit down for this, folks. This is a big number. Allegedly, Kamala Harris has raised nearly $250 million to support efforts to elect her as the next president of the United States. In 24 hours, I want to explain that this has never happened in American history. We are seeing so many things never happening before, and the probability of that, you guys, please understand, if it's never happened before, the probability of it happening again is unlikely. The probability of this even happening in the first place is unlikely. To think that this just happened in 24 hours, nobody believes this. This has been going on. This has been being geared up for weeks. And the moment it was announced, that was when the pockets started shelling out all this cash. So her campaign announced it raised $81 million just through the online funding platform ActBlue. And that was reported by the New York Times. And then you had almost 900,000 people donating during that time, and 43,000 donors pledged to make reoccurring donations. Big money donators contributed 150 million. And I mean, it's just coming from everywhere. So really wild stuff here coming from the Democrats. If you're a Democrat, if the Republicans did this to me, I don't even know if I would be a registered Republican anymore. I'd probably be going independent And I definitely would not be voting at the top of the ticket. I understand that there's Democrats that don't like Donald Trump. Fully get it, fully aware of it. You were just given the middle finger and you were just voided of your right to vote for the person that you wanted. You may have not even wanted Kamala Harris. There wasn't even an open convention. There wasn't even anything where other people put themselves forward to sit there and see who maybe is the best possible candidate. Bro, they just sat there and said, no, F you. We think we know better than you do. No longer a democratic process. We're going to be an oligarchy. Let's go ahead and put forth Kamala Harris. This is some crazy stuff, folks. This is some crazy stuff. So Johnny had the great question. If Joe Biden steps down, like basically if he steps down from the presidency, right? Kamala Harris then would be the president. So basically they'd have to enact the 25th Amendment. And that's important here because there's rules for what happens if something like that's implemented. So if the 25th Amendment is implemented and Kamala Harris becomes president, his question was, then does the Speaker of the House then become the vice president? The short answer is no. So what happens is Kamala Harris would become president, and then what she would do is nominate a vice president, and then the vice president would have to be confirmed by the majority of the House and the Senate, and then the Speaker of the House just stays the same. So it's not like it's not like a progressive system where you just fill in the next person. So she would nominate her own vice president. And again, that would have to be secured through the Senate and the House. That's how that would take place. So hopefully I answered your question clearly. And by the way, that answer is 100% correct, my friend. 100%. Hopefully you guys are doing well in the chat. We are still cruising here on everything. If you haven't already, folks, hit that like button. Hit that like button to support us. We need your help. We need your help big time. So we have here Biden-Harris campaign co-chair Chris Coons, who we showed here on the show before. He says that basically this whole massive cover-up around Joe Biden's cognitive decline with Kamala Harris at the center of it, it's not really relevant. I shit you not. You guys hear this from CNN.
Kamala Harris knew that President Biden wasn't up to 4 more years. I mean, they would say that about you, I think, as well. And they're going to allege a cover-up. They're going to say she knew, she covered it up. How do you answer that charge, considering what we have seen transpire over the last month?
First, I think it's BS. Second, I don't think it's particularly relevant because what the American people are going to be looking at in November is Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris. And that is a fundamentally different race going forward and a different electoral challenge and a different direction for the American people.
These people are idiots, you guys. I don't think it's particularly relevant. Really? Really? The fact that she sat there and lied to the entire country for years isn't relevant? If she's willing to go to those lengths on something that important to lie to everybody, then what length is she willing to go to cover up some sort of malfeasance, some sort of BS that she's pulling and doing? Like, there's all this fraud that's taking place here. It's truly wild. I know. Should I just make shirts that say, this is wild? DNC chair Jamie Harrison comes out of the woodworks and claims that the coup to install Kamala Harris as their nominee is the most transparent, fair process, despite the fact, you guys, she got a grand total of 0 votes for president.
Listen, in essence, we have rules for situations in like the one that we're in now, and we are utilizing those rules, which basically puts this nomination process in the hands of the delegates that were selected, based off of the elections that happened over the course of the last few months. Listen, in essence, we have...
Yo. Now, we did a poll yesterday, and we asked, is this cheating? And 87% of you said yes. I'm on board with that. This is cheating. Yeah, you're not going through the process. It's not fair whatsoever. And it's the least transparent thing you could possibly do because You're not doing anything. In less than 33 hours, you went from a dude dropping out to a lady stepping up with 0 votes, now the nominee, and has all the delegates and raises $250 million. If that doesn't sound the alarms of there's a deep state, dude, there is some freaking figure out there. And what I mean by figure is a bunch of people, these bureaucrats that never leave, were never elected, that they're running this machine behind the scenes, this managerial elite class. I don't know what tells you that this stuff is real. I used to think it was fake, you guys. I've been open about that. I used to think the deep state was fake. There's a book out there that I highly recommend. It's called The Deep State. It was written by a former congressman of Utah called Jason Chaffetz. You've probably heard of him because he's on Fox News. Him and Trey Gowdy did a lot of great work. Trey Gowdy was a congressman from South Carolina. My number 1 and number 2 guys that I miss greatly in Congress. It's very rare that I say I actually trust a politician. I trusted those guys. Jason Chaffetz in that one book changed my mind of the deep state, and it's going to blow your mind. Jason Chaffetz used to be the chairman of the oversight committee like you see from Comer that we saw yesterday in the House. Let me tell you guys, that book will change your mind, and it will blow your mind regarding the deep state. That's what's going on with that. So let's get into the big news of the day that y'all been waiting for. Let me see. Hold on. I want to make sure that I have this down for you. Yeah, I'm keeping you waiting just a little bit. There was one bit here that I wanted to show all of you. Yes. Okay. So before we get to that, I just want to paint the picture here. I told you some of my stuff's a little out of order, but I got it back. So take everything I'm about to say regarding this timeline into consideration, okay? Biden says 20 times plus that he's not dropping out and that he wouldn't be pushed out by party elites. Then he gets COVID, goes out of sight for a few days. Folks, nobody's seen Joe Biden for over 5 days now. As far as I'm aware, I tried to scour the internet, and that's why it's trending. Where the hell is Joe Biden? Nobody's seen this guy for 5 days. The president of the United States. Nobody's seen him. Nobody's heard from him. Get this. His campaign co-chair says empathetically that Joe is not leaving the race, period. A few hours later, his X account, his Twitter account, posts that he is leaving the race via a screenshot of a document with absolutely no proof that he's behind it. Matter of fact, if you guys actually look at his signature, it doesn't even match up to his signature. And there's no presidential letterhead on it. Joe Biden's campaign aides and staff say that they also found out via Twitter that Biden was dropping out. 24 hours later, Joe still hasn't shown his face to confirm that it was actually his statement, but Kamala Harris secured enough delegates to become the nominee within 24 hours of his post. Yo, this is crazy. Are we lagging a little bit here? I think I might be lagging a little bit. I don't know what's going on. Well, it looks like we're smooth on Rumble. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. Furthermore, oh, we got more, dude. This is insane. I'm giving you the timeline. Joe Biden's X account now has Kamala Harris ad as his profile header. Their campaign headquarters has been redone to eliminate the Biden name. Folks, this is all taking place in 24 hours. You will never see anything like it probably in your lifetime. Kamala Harris holds a small event where she begins to say that she's on a record, then says phone, and we hear a strange back and forth that feels totally unnatural. What happened there? She's at this campaign, and she has allegedly Joe Biden on the phone, and she says, she's about to say the word recording, but then she says phone, And then all this via phone, like we're living in the 1940s, glued to the radio for news. No visual of him is shown. All of this occurs with any proof of all that this is Joe Biden. So let me see if I can actually pull that up. I know I see a lot of you talking about this in the chat, that it's not Joe Biden's voice. Joe Biden recording. Let's see if we can actually have video of it here. So here it is. Let me give you guys the receipts on what everybody's talking about in the chat, because this went viral yesterday. You're going to hear her talking. Listen very carefully. She's about to say Joe's recording, but she changed it to phone. So here we go. And then listen to Joe Biden's voice.
It is so good to hear our president's voice. Joe, I know you're still on the call.
There you go.
And
I'm going to play that back. It's good to hear. Listen.
Still on the call.
See, she's about to say recording.
You're still on the call. Oh, I know you're still on the call.
I know you're still on the call.
Joe, I know you're still on the call. And we've been talking every day.
Listen to his voice.
You guys heard it from Doug's voice. We love Joe and Jill. We really do. They truly are like family to us. And we do. Everybody here does.
It's mutual.
Listen to that. It's mutual.
Mutual. It's mutual.
I knew you were.
Sorry, I probably blew your guys' ears. I can't control the audio from them.
It's mutual.
I knew you were still there.
Thanks,
You're
Dizzy.
not going anywhere, Joe.
I'm watching you, kid. I'm watching you, kid. I love you.
I love you, Joe.
I don't know, guys. Look, I like conspiracy theories and stuff, but I don't know what to make of that. We had a lot of people over on Twitter. It's good to see you folks over on Twitter. Well, you can make, I mean, you decide yourself, right? I'm not going to sit there and say that was Joe or wasn't Joe, but dude, that sounded weird. And the fact that he writes that letter, nobody's seen the guy for 5 days. And like I mentioned, folks, that it's trending right now. Where is Joe? I mean, he's in Delaware. He's supposed to come back today, and I'll get to it, you guys. I promise you, you want to stick around for this story that I have for you, because there is some insane news about Joe Biden's health, you guys. And it's pretty detailed for me to go, why would you sit there and put your name out there like that with this detailed of news for it not to be real? And actually, I don't know if I have it queued up. I think it got removed. So where's Joe? President's schedule wiped clean right after campaign ending letter. You guys, he had 12 days of stuff. It's all gone. Joe has nothing scheduled for like 2 weeks. Joe Biden has no public events scheduled for Monday, one day after announcing that he would be ending his re-election campaign through a letter posted on social media. As we made the joke yesterday, Joe Biden basically broke up with the nation via text. You guys let me know, are we lagging? Secret agent, are we lagging on the YouTubes? Or is it just my my connection? How we doing, folks? Let me know here. Sorry to pause it, but are we lagging? You're all good? Okay, thank you, Dizzy. Okay. Well, that's on Rumble. We know Rumble was good. How are we doing over at YouTube? We'll pause for a second. Everybody says 100. I don't know if that's for us. Let's give it a little break here. What's going on, Indigo? Indigo's been a viewer of a long time. People are saying not now. Not anymore. Okay, so it was at first. All right. So, this is important because he was oh, there's another spider. Frig, dude. Ugh. Hold on. I hate spiders. Dude, that's... Where are they coming from? Hold on. We're not going forward. 1 second. All right. I'm so sorry. Yo, I wouldn't be able to focus. That's the second one, and we had one yesterday and today. I don't know what's going on here. Oh God. All right. I'm sorry, folks. I apologize. As you can tell, I was running. Okay. Yeah, Spider's gone. There's no way that I'd be able to focus. Okay. So where the hell was I? So Joe Biden, at least you know it's live and that Brad, you need to get yourself a bug gun. Yeah. Well, look, there's never been any spiders, and all of a sudden 2 days there's spiders now. And yesterday that thing was like crawling next to my face while we were doing the Secret Service thing or whatever. So the reason why this is important that Joe Biden's canceling everything is because, one, it gives us credibility a little bit as the story we're going to get into with his medical scare. But also, he was supposed to come out this week and announce officially at some point, people are thinking, speculating Thursday or Friday, that was going to be the official announcement that he's dropping out of the race. So are we not getting that anymore? And it's not just this schedule. I mean, his meeting with Netanyahu is in limbo. But remember, he's supposed to be carrying out all his presidential duties still. But he actually gave up some of his presidential duties. You can't make this stuff up. So the schedule, which was released on Sunday night, has resulted in questions and speculation on social media surrounding Biden, who has not been seen or heard from publicly since being diagnosed with COVID last Wednesday. You guys, tomorrow will be officially a week nobody's heard or seen Joe Biden. Let that one sink in. Jason Miller, senior advisor to former President Donald Trump, commented on Biden's schedule, posting an X. Kamala Harris needs to be asked if she believes Joe Biden is still competent enough to do the job of president. Next week's schedule doesn't give one much confidence. No. And some of you asked yesterday, where is there going to be a White House press briefing? We don't even know from Karine Jean-Pierre. The last thing we heard from her was she said the president was returning to Delaware. You guys, there was a flight from Kamala Harris that took off last night to visit Joe Biden in Delaware, just randomly. Oh man, you guys want to stay tuned for all this. We got some wild stuff going on. Wild stuff. So let me pull it up for you all. Let me make sure. So here's the receipts that he canceled a dozen trips. But remember, he's supposed to carry out all his official duties, right? And then we have this bad boy here that Joe Biden, again, I'm going to get to it, you guys. This is how good the story is that I'm leading you up. I've never done this where I'm keeping you guys hanging this long. Why is Joe Biden handing off presidential powers to the secretaries of state and treasury? What the F is going on? Last night, all of you were asleep. Yo, this shit was going down. And I was on X for hours yesterday looking at all this. So let's get to it. Oh, baby. Let me pull it up here for y'all. Because this is a hell of a story, and I got to make sure I go in order here. Let me see where the heck is it? Where is it? I apologize. This is so unprofessional. I'm trying to look for it because it's a really long thread and it's a really long story that's all surrounding Joe Biden's health. Okay. So I might have to go to Charlie Kirk's page for it. Maybe I can go here. Oh man. Tell me it disappeared. I have another source that I can go to for it. So it's Charlie Kirk. All right, check this out. So Charlie Kirk got a weird lead on a story that people should look into. I got a call from a source close to the Las Vegas Metro. The official story. So this happened. And if you guys recall, we actually talked about this live very briefly. And I said, I don't know if it's true. I heard there was no actual medical episode. So we did talk about this very briefly, like 1 minute. The official story was that Joe Biden's trip was cut short last week due to COVID. That's what we all heard, right? However, according to this source, United States Secret Service informed Las Vegas Metro that there was an emergency situation involving Joe Biden and to close necessary streets so that the president of the United States could be transported immediately to University Medical, which they began to do in earnest. Then mysteriously, there was a stand-down order from the United States Secret Service, informed local Vegas Police Department that they were going to medevac the president of the United States to Johns Hopkins, which they presumed meant fly him back as soon as possible to the East Coast. Apparently, the rumor mill is the police department was that Joe Biden was dying or possibly already dead. This is last week. I didn't think too much about this lead. Seemed too wild to be true, but given that Joe Biden has been out of the public sight for days, he's going on 5 days now, actually 6 by the end of today, and dropped out of the race via just an X post, and his brother James, which we covered yesterday, indicated health was a factor. I'm beginning to grow more curious if COVID or something else has been more serious than reported. Oh, we have more details, folks. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere one bit. So Laura Loomer, who is an investigative journalist, is the one that dropped the story originally last week. She's the founder of Loomer, and she hosts the Loomer Unleashed, and she's a former Project Veritas operative. So I have to get down to the nitty gritty here of where she actually talks about more details of what exactly it was. And things are updating so quickly, it kind of got buried in the shuffle here. And again, this all took place last night. So I need to find it here. Give me 1 second, folks. Hang out with me here for 1 second as I find this for you, because it was very detailed. And it actually talked about what the diagnosis was that he got. That's not it. Forgive me, guys. I want to make sure I get this up, and I should have had it. Here we go. Is this it? Yeah. Here we go. Okay, check this out. Joe Biden, this was breaking last night. Now, I'm going to be fully transparent. Take this as a grain of salt, okay? Meaning, don't go spread this to your friends and family as it's truth. I know I don't need to tell the Patriots that, but I do want to bring you something that is pretty interesting. Good to see you, Morning Star. Or Morning Star, sorry, that's biblical. Star Child. Morning Star is what Jesus was called, or referenced at least in the scriptures. So Joe Biden is dying, and final preparations are being made for him. You guys, this is the same lady that broke the story last week that all this was taking place, that was confirmed. About Joe Biden going to the hospital, like there was a medical emergency for the president, was confirmed, by the way, from the actual Las Vegas Police Department. So people went through all that. Check this out. He was supposed to leave Delaware today, but his health has deteriorated. Due to his accelerated decline, Joe Biden has canceled 9 trips, we know it's 12 now, that were scheduled for the next 2 weeks. Biden is expected to leave his beach home in Delaware today, this afternoon, and arrive back to the White House about 2:30 p.m. We'll see if that happens. Although that could be changed to Wednesday, July 24th, it all depends on how much he continues to decline. Biden has been dying, and he's dying rather quickly. This is why Kamala flew to Delaware today. People were showing tracking of Air Force Two of her, and it is confirmed that she went to Delaware. What Twitter is saying, you know, they put those tags down there, that she wasn't in fact visiting the president. She was just going there for some odd reason. This is why she flew to Delaware, and why Biden's White House chief of staff called for an emergency meeting and call with all White House staff today. The medical emergency Joe Biden had on the July 5th when he was in Vegas on Air Force One, which we talked about. If you guys recall, it was very brief. I said there was a medical emergency on Air Force One, but the White House came out and said, hey, it's not real. And that it was, you know, there was nothing that actually took place. And I said, well, you know, he's going out there, so obviously there wasn't really a medical emergency if he's walking down the staircase. That's what we talked about here on the show. So it's exclusive report almost killed him. His time is left and limited, which is kind of weird because that's basically what his brother said, right? That they had limited time with Joe Biden. Now, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist here, but again, this stuff was confirmed by the police department. And I'm trying to find the one where she speaks about TIA, and I don't know if she deleted it. Here's her originally stating Joe Biden has had reportedly had a medical emergency on Air Force One right now. So that's what we heard as well. And the White House verified Joe Biden landed without incident. Okay. So that's what I read to you guys. I don't know what's going on with him, but I'm trying to find the post that I referred to last night where Joe Biden TIA, where he had what was called TIA, and that was reported from Laura Loomer. Hopefully I'm saying her name right. This is crazy, folks. Well, while I'm looking for that, here's the other post of it. This is exclusive. This is from the dossier. Exclusive. President Biden suffered an undisclosed medical emergency during his time in Las Vegas, which is what we reported. So on Wednesday, Biden was scheduled to deliver the keynote, which we all knew about. They actually set up the whole place at the annual convention at the MGM Grand, with thousands in attendance anticipating his arrival. So this thing was already set up, folks. They had an entire speaking engagement happening. With the venue located right off the Las Vegas Strip, the presidency's security detail and motorcade required massive outside support from the Las Vegas Police Department. Biden did not appear at the convention, you guys. They cut it off. They just took it off the schedule. And any events later that afternoon, instead, he left town departing Las Vegas Air Force One for Delaware, where he remains today. Folks, no event. Just canceled. Since that trip, he's announced over social media that he's not running for the office of the presidency. His doctor came out and said everything's fine. You guys, you could see a cluster bleep. Something's weird going on. And like I mentioned, she said, Laura Loomer said that this is TIA. So here's the report. Reporters at Red State have confirmed the Las Vegas Metro Police Department sources. So about that whole thing that there was supposed to be a medevac, that we need to get this guy on Air Force One, that something terrible is happening, was confirmed by the police department. An additional source, not a medical person, in a position to know, tells me that Biden had a stroke-like symptom, but did not elaborate as to what those were. But when the doc traveling with Biden determined it wasn't a full stroke they could treat on Air Force One en route to Andrews, the motorcade diverted to the airport. According to sources, it's believed Biden had a transient, basically TIA. I guess he suffered from a seizure. Now, we were also being told last night that with this type of seizure, that it's highly possible that he would have a massive one 72 hours later based on what was delivered here. Now, I'm going to be a Democrat here. Well, I'm not a doctor, obviously, but that was what took place. And everybody's talking about that he's had this. And by the way, he's had 2 aneurysms in the past. So it's not like it's out of the realm of possibility. So who knows? And here's him walking out on July 5th. And this is why everyone was like, oh, well, maybe nothing really happened. You don't look good, folks. And by the way, it's weird that there's a Secret Service guy standing so close behind him. No, we're not done, because actually that's kind of what's nice about pulling this up in real time, is there's more information coming out regarding this. And there's a video that caught my eye here of the motorcade. And I want to see if I can pull that back up. Yeah, so let's look at this together. I'll make sure I split screen. It's kind of nice. We're almost going through this in real time as a community. I kind of like this. So this isn't someone with COVID. This is Biden arriving back in Delaware. He is terminally ill and unable to perform his duties. Final preparations are being made for him. And soon we will have President Kamala Harris as the 47th president. Donald Trump will be the 48th president. Look, there's something weird going on here in this motorcade. Let me tell you what, let me know what you guys see. I haven't seen this yet. It caught my eye.
At his beach house, and we did note he wasn't wearing a mask there when he came down the stairs, but it does appear once he gets in the car that he puts that mask on.
Puts the mask on. It appears that he might be getting a little help just getting into the car there. Hard to make out through the rain what exactly is going on there, but it does look like certainly that the president's feeling the effects of early in the stages of COVID, and many of us have been there. So we do wish him a speedy recovery. John Carl, you're reporting earlier on World News Tonight, getting some pickup tonight across several news outlets. You reported on this meeting that Chuck Schumer had with President Biden.
Are they getting
this
his
was
legs
Saturday,
in?
and it was not long before the...
Doesn't it look like the Secret Service is putting his legs in? Dude, can he not lift his legs? Look at. I mean, I don't know what the doors are like on the motorcade, but I've never seen them do that before where they're reaching down. It looks like right there he's picking up his leg and putting it in. And see, because look at his mouth. Look at Joe Biden's mouth. He says, thank you. Watch. Thank you. Thank you.
At his beach house.
Wow.
And we did know.
I don't know, guys. Let me know what you all think. Actor with a mask. Joe Biden's brains are scrambled. On a personal level, I feel bad for what his staff and family put him through, but we need answers. We need answers big time. And look, if the Democrat Party is willing to do this now, you guys, like I mentioned, I mean, did we not call this months ago that this is the biggest cover-up in American history, what you're seeing here? Even if there was no medical emergency, which, quite frankly, I find it really weird, folks, that all this is coming out. 8 minutes ago, you have a POTUS Cheeto's resignation. So it looks like the Secret Service director was, I know we're pulling this up real time. Sorry, diverting a little bit. But President of the United States on Cheeto's resignation, an independent review to get the bottom of what, blah, blah, blah. Conclusion, we all know what happened on the day. As we move forward, I wish Kim all the best. I will plan to appoint a new director. So she's gone. She's gone. So somehow Joe Biden's firing people, but Joe's never seen anybody. So we have Joe Biden stepping down as the nominee of the Democrat Party with no press conference. The dude comes out over Twitter again and fires the Secret Service director and no press conference. Yo, dude, this is insane. But there's no health issues, you guys. Where's Joe? Again, somebody tell me, where's the President of the United States? Lily B posted. Thank you, Lily B. What is going on? I mean, look, it's not still COVID, you guys. Again, look at this. It can't still be COVID. Biden's COVID system's almost resolved after 10th dose. His own doctors come out and said, yeah, it's pretty much fine. Like, he's back to normal. That didn't look normal to me. That didn't look normal to anybody. President Biden completed his 10th dose this morning. His symptoms have almost completely resolved. So why is he not on camera? The dude can't do a selfie like, yo, hey, everybody, I'm alive and well. Like, Joe, can you hold up today's newspaper? Like, can we get his blood and his pulse, his blood pressure and his pulse, respiratory rate and temperature remain absolutely normal. His oxygen saturation continues to be excellent on room air. His lungs remain clear. So where is Joe then? And here you go. So what I always want to try to bring receipts when I can. Sources confirm Biden's meeting's in limbo. Why? He's supposed to be carrying out his presidential duties, but he's passing on certain presidential duties to his treasury. Yo, you guys are seeing some crazy stuff right now, man. Crazy stuff. I don't know what to make of all this. And I don't know what to believe is true. Oh, you gotta love how I did have this all queued up. It was just at the end of my tabs. I'm such an idiot. Like, I had it queued up out here. It's just at the end of my tabs. So here's something that's gonna piss you guys off. I probably should have led with this. So, you know how we gave Ukraine like billions of dollars, and not too long ago, it was just kind of happened that we lost $40 million in Ukraine. Do you guys remember that happened like a few months ago? We lost $40 million. We don't know where it went. Okay, here we go. Dear U.S. taxpayers, just to let you know, while you struggle to pay rent, educate your kids, and save something for a rainy day, the Pentagon just accidentally paid dictator Zelensky an extra $6.2 billion of your money in what they're calling an accounting error. Oh, oops. Yep, just oopsie, just kind of messed up somewhere.
From some announcements earlier this year, during the department's regular oversight of our execution of presidential drawdown authority for Ukraine, we discovered inconsistencies in equipment valuation for Ukraine. In a significant number of cases, services used replacement costs rather than net book value, thereby overestimating the value of the equipment drawn down from U.S. stocks and provided to Ukraine.
No big deal. No big deal. You guys didn't see that. You guys didn't see your money just evaporating in the thin air. Yeah, I know where that 40 million went as well. Yep. Zelensky bought a yacht. There was rumors, and I haven't confirmed it. There was rumors that Zelensky's wife was driving like a Lamborghini or some crazy thing like that. You guys, in Ukraine, mind you, this is supposedly a country that's being invaded by Russia, which is some serious shit, by the way. There's videos of these youngsters just partying it up, going to the clubs, at the bars, just having a grand old time, while allegedly their country's being invaded. So I don't know how many countries that are in serious need of, billions of dollars, all the while, you would think that they'd be in their, factories producing weaponry and starting making planes and stuff on their own. But it seems like a lot of them are just out drinking. Now, take that as a grain of salt, folks. I don't want you going to spread in that. Again, I want to be clear as day. I'm just something that I saw wasn't really confirmed because, hell, we haven't really seen much from the war in Ukraine. Do you guys kind of think that's a little bit weird? The reason why I bring that up is because remember, I'm not talking about the Gulf War, but remember how we went into Iraq and Afghanistan and like the news was there and they were covering it. I mean, I remember as a youngster seeing a tank blowing up buildings. Like I was watching them like 5-6 tanks just blowing shit up left and right. We haven't really seen anything. I've seen some like footage of like these drones dropping bombs on some Russians and vice versa. But I haven't really seen much footage from the Ukraine war. Like where's our news on the boots on the ground? Like if we're giving somebody 60 billion here, 100 billion there, like where's Fox News with the boots on the ground covering the war? Where's CBS and MSNBC? Like, am I missing it, you guys? Am I just under a rock? Or is there like a lot of footage out there that we're not seeing? That I'm just completely missing, which is possible. Is a lot of news. If you guys find it, if you guys find like boots on the ground, like I said, like Fox, ABC, MSNBC, CNN, like we're out here in the trenches of the war in Ukraine. We're in Kiev and bleeps hit the fan and there's mortar fire taking place and oh my God, there goes John. Oh shit, John. Like, can you guys send me that via email? Again, that's thebaldbradshow@gmail.com. Because maybe I'm just missing it. And I want to give benefit of the doubt, but like I said, that's normally what we see, right? We saw it with World War II. We saw it with the Vietnam War. We saw it with the Korean War. We saw it with the war in Afghanistan. We saw it with the war on terror. But all of a sudden, we saw it with, folks, we see Fox News out there in Israel. Yeah, the Iron Dome is blowing shit up in the sky. There goes a rocket. Holy shit, there it goes. 100. The Houthis are attacking, but the Iron Dome's keeping us safe. We'll stay tuned here with you while we get into the bunker. Do you notice that there's nobody doing that for the war that's supposedly going on over there in Ukraine? That Ukraine's being invaded? Again, please, I'm looking at the chat right now. Let me know, has anybody seen it? Snarf, Jason, Pat, you guys seen anything? Dizzy? Liberty Love, anybody? Mark? Dan? Michelle? Johnny? Bruce, maybe? Heather, anybody? Hello out there! It was a Bugatti. Okay, so Ted heard the same thing. Jeff? Ohio Farm Girl? Indigo? Patriots, help me out. Any of you seen the coverage? Oh, okay, everyone's saying no. All right, well, there we go. That's that. That was that. Yeah. At the beginning there was, and it was all silent. Yeah, okay. All right, well, we have this here, and this is a terrible clip. God, I feel like I'm ending off on a bad note. We'll try to end off on a good note. Okay, how about that? We'll try to end off on a good note. This is not a good note. So Elon Musk, the billionaire, who's supporting Donald Trump, did a interview with Jordan Peterson. Hey, this is just terrible. I mean, this is heartbreaking. He talks about his son and how his son was put on puberty blockers, basically. And he talks about how gender ideology has really impacted his son. And he goes as far to say his son is dead. Guys, this is heartbreaking. And nobody knew this, by the way. This is like breaking news to hear this about Elon Musk's son and his family. Here we go. Maybe why he took over Twitter as well. You kind of see this when somebody's impacted personally. You don't have to be impacted personally to change your viewpoint, right? You can read books, you can see things like this, do research. I think that's why it's important because Elon Musk is not an idiot, right? It's one of the most magnificent people and minds in history. And we get to live in the same time period as him. This would be like living with like Nikola Tesla or something like that, right? Or like Einstein, who didn't die too long ago. But like you're living in a time with one of the greatest minds that history books is going to write about and talk about already. And he's sitting here going, well, I was tricked. I was tricked and I basically lost my son because of it. One of the greatest minds was tricked. This is what the media does. This is the propaganda. This is why shows are important. It's so that people aren't tricked. It builds curiosity. How do we get people out there to sit there and find the proof, even though you're going to have to dig and dig and dig and dig and dig to see what is true? That's why I sat there and showed you the medical thing that's going on with Joe Biden. Nobody's talking about it. You don't see CNN talking about Joe Biden's medical issue. You don't see anybody talking about it, but hey, it might be fake, right? It might not be real. So we need to at least do more digging, more research, and ask questions because that's what the news is. That's what the job of journalists are, to ask the questions. And there are journalists that watch this show. How the hell is nobody talking about this? Where is Joe? But when people are impacted, that's where change really happens. And I want to bring that up because we all saw that tape yesterday of AOC. We don't like AOC here. The lady is a psycho. But I gave her credit yesterday. She did a phenomenal job at that congressional hearing with the Secret Service director. Her head was on straight. But we said, why is she acting like this? This is not normal for AOC. She doesn't normally pretend like this. Normally she goes along with the Democrat agenda, right? Normally she would sit there and be like, we need to lock up the guns. We need to go after the AR-15. It's one of the most used guns in mass shootings. But she was like, hey, you know what? Like, what's going on here? Why did something like this happen? Why did they go after a former president? Why this, and this? Well, she said so. She said, I'm personally impacted with the threats that are coming towards her, which I don't agree with. By the way, can we just be clear here? If there's anybody that's a viewer of my show that throws death threats to anybody, please unsubscribe to me. If there's anybody that thinks it's okay to violently harm somebody, please unsubscribe from me. I just want to be clear, because I want to make sure my rhetoric isn't ever accused of somebody doing a heinous crime. I am not for killing anybody, unless they're like a terrorist or something. But I'm not for like crime. I'm not for racism. I don't like any of that. So if there's any viewer here that somehow is misconstruing my words, I don't want them as a subscriber if they think that we should go harm or throw death threats or something like that. I know it's obvious, you guys, but I feel the need to say it still. There's probably one person in here that's like off the rocker. Don't like any of that stuff. I've had death threats, and I'm a small channel. Can you imagine somebody that's as big as AOC? I feel bad for her. I don't like her, but I don't want any ill will against her. She has a family, she has loved ones, she has parents. But people are crazy out there throwing death threats, and a lot of it's probably credible because there's psychos out there. And so because she was personally impacted, she wants to get to the bottom of all this, and just like the rest of us. So kudos to her. But it just shows to show you, like Elon Musk here, when you're personally impacted by something and you were tricked, that's the last person you want to mess with, is a guy that's the richest man in the world. And it's just terrible what's happened to him and his family. And he doesn't show much emotion, but that's just how he is in general. He doesn't really show much emotion. But I'll tell you what, Jordan Peterson, that broke him down. My kids are now 23 and 22. Sometimes I worry, but they are doing okay right now. They have started families and love Jesus. That's the key. You got to have faith. You got to have family. You got to have people that you can rely on. And I think that's the biggest thing, folks, is it needs to start in the household. Our households have really crumbled here in the United States. Not to go too far into philosophy and individualism and conservatism, but I mean, hell, that's kind of what the show's for. is, yeah, everything comes back down to the individual, but who builds that individual? That individual needs to be built up by Christ. That individual needs to be built up by family. And when you have that foundation, like it talks about in the scriptures, if it's a foundation that's built on sand, the house is going to crumble. If the foundation's built on rock, then the house is going to stand strong. And what is that house built on? It needs to be built on a sturdy foundation. That foundation starts with the scriptures, and it starts with the family. But the problem is we have a lack of people seeking out Christ. We have a lack of people having a two-parent household and just parents that know what the hell they're doing in general. There's a reason why I don't have kids yet, you guys. There's a reason why I'm holding off on having kids. One, I can't afford it. And two, do I want to put my kids in a living situation that I'm in? Or do I want to wait and see if I can give them a better life? You know, all these people that are homeless or having kids left and right is a remarkable thing. I'm not going off on a tangent. But how about we plan this out first? You know what I mean? How about like having abstinence a little bit? How about sitting there and being, you know, responsible for your actions so you don't have a kid and go, well, I can't afford diapers. I can't afford this or that. I know I'm going off a little bit. But what I'm trying to say is the bedrock needs to be on family. Even if we can't afford children and we have a child, we still need to sit there and make sacrifices so we can take care of them. And if you can't sit there and take care of them in a proper way, at least build a community around you, neighbors, family, and come together as a community and help bring up that individual, that child together. And I think that's what we're lacking in. You used to be able to rely on your neighbor. You used to know your neighbor. You used to go to barbecues with your neighbor. Hell, you used to have the guy across the street come over and have a beer and a cigar with you. We don't do that nowadays anymore. Nowadays, we just blow everybody off because everybody's crazy. But at the end of the day, we need family, we need Christ, and I think that's going to repair a lot of problems. I'm not even saying you got to even believe in Christ necessarily to have a better life, but it is a good bedrock to have, is that faith in your life, folks. And I think that's a good note to end off on. No ads today. I figured, you know, you guys have been lit up with those ads, and we'll kind of keep it clean. But if you're somebody that is struggling to believe in the scriptures, I ask you to don't look at it from a miracle standpoint. Look at it as a historical text, and I think that will help greatly because the majority of the scripture actually is not miracles whatsoever. The book of the scriptures, the Old Testament, New Testament, is basically just history. That's really all it is. Like if you break down the gospel, that helped me a lot because I actually was not a Christian my entire life, believe it or not. I didn't come to Christ until later on when somebody actually taught me the Bible. If you look at the gospel, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, all it was just firsthand account reporting. Like that's all. Like we were talking about earlier, right? There's boots on the ground. There's people going out saying, oh yeah, this guy over here did this. This guy over here did this. This is what took place. That's all the gospel is. It was people sitting there talking to other people saying, hey, what did you see and hear? And then they just recorded it. Sometimes that was listening to Jesus's words. Somebody said, this is what Jesus said. This is what Jesus did. Sometimes they saw it in the eyewitness account, and all he did was write it down. It's no different than reading a newspaper, really. And then you transition into the epistles, the letters. I mean, that is just literally historical fact. The guy just wrote it down. He was in prison at times. He wrote down a piece of paper, and it's in the scriptures. That's all it is. You're just reading a history book. But I thought I'd throw that at you guys today. If you're struggling with the scriptures or whatever else, I try, take that leap. Take that leap of faith a little bit. But faith comes from knowledge, you guys. Faith comes from knowledge. Don't let anybody fool you. You got a lot of churches out there. Oh, just have faith. Just have faith. No. Don't just have faith. Have faith based on the knowledge that you have. That knowledge will build up your faith. And that faith and knowledge will build up the action to go out and see Christ even more. So this whole idea of just have faith, folks, how can you just have faith on something you know nothing about? And I mean that all little, I know we're going on like a whole freaking rant here, but folks, before I started my show and somebody said, hey, have faith in this bald Brad guy, you'll be like, F I will. I don't even know who that guy is. I didn't even know he existed. How can you have faith in something you know nothing about? Here, have faith in the Taliban. You don't know much about them, but I want you to have faith in them. You know that maybe they're bad, but maybe they're good. I know it's a terrible analogy, but you understand what I'm saying. Is you need to have faith in something that you know about. And to know something, you have to go seek it out. And that's why God wants you to seek after him. God wants you to seek after him. And you got to go do it. You got to go do it. Tell me, what is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is the Gospels. And the Gospels talks about the time when Christ actually walked this earth. So it's the eyewitness account of the miracles and the things that Christ did and said. Acts turns into him leaving this earth. And once he leaves this earth, that's when the gospel is really being spread amongst the earth. So, but folks, this is not a Bible study. But anyways, with that being said, folks, hit that like button. Locals, I have a new locals community tab up and running, but because I deleted my old one, there's some issues going on with it, so I'm trying to handle and take care of that, folks. We'll make sure we bring you all the news. I might go live right after this. We'll have to see. But if you haven't already, you can hit that like button, leave us a comment down below wherever it's possible. Follow us on Twitter because I'm very active on Twitter. And with that being said, folks, I'll see you later here on the Will Brad Show. Thank you so much, Patriots.